What is going on, YouTube? So now that me and Max are living together, you've probably seen this thing in a couple of my IG stories, and quite frequently I call it like the 16-year-old, the American-made. There's a lot of different names that I call this, and it's not because I hate the Jeep. It's because me and Max are really good friends, and that's what really good friends do. They talk shit to each other. In reality, I have no issue with this thing, and I figured why not do a full review on my channel of the 2015 SRT Jeep. Let's jump into it. Sounds good. What is the SRT Jeep for someone who doesn't know? Well, this is a Jeep Grand Cherokee with a 6.4 liter V8 in it, 470 horsepower, 465 pound-feet of torque. This is like typical American-built sports car. It's just in an SUV. I think I might be missing one here, but all the competitors I can think of are European. The Range Rover SVR, the X5M, the Porsche Cayenne Turbo S, and really those kind of compete with the Trackhawk. I drove a Trackhawk a couple months ago. That link will be up here. But the Trackhawk, you gotta enunciate the hawk there, otherwise it comes out as Track. That is, I think, currently the fastest production SUV you can buy, so I will say the Jeep is winning in that aspect. I appreciate they're releasing 707 horsepower SUVs just because they can. The ride is very bumpy, by the way. Like, I'm sure my camera, I can see it flopping around over here. This video might not be the most stable of my car reviews, and I believe it has like automatic dampening suspension, but it doesn't really seem like it. Even in auto mode, this is not the most comfortable SUV I've ever been in. It's very rough. I'm still a little iffy on the market here, right? Like, I don't really know who wants a super fast, sporty SUV. I did a review on the Macan Turbo recently, and that made a little bit more sense because it actually kind of drove like a Porsche. It drove like a sports car. This drives like an SUV with a huge V8 stuck in it. So to buy this, you really just want a very fast, straight line SUV. And that's what this is. So you're someone that really wants an SUV, but you also want to go really fast in a straight line, and you don't want to spend $100,000 on a Trackhawk. This thing starts at $65,000 and goes up to, I believe, this one with these options: the white exterior, the carbon fiber, and these like camel tan color interior. I believe this one's right at $72,000. So it's not cheap by any means. It's still a very expensive SUV. Interior quality, actually really nice. Now, it is American made. Every time I say this, I have some like head honcho, all American dude get super pissed off at me. And I'm an American. I love living in America. I'm proud to be an American, but I'm not blind to the truth, okay? It turns out Europeans are way better at making cars than we are. Every single time I say anything about this, I have someone comment how
a Corvette Z06 is just as fast as a Lamborghini, so it's better.
Or
Expedition's interior is just as nice as the Range Rover.
It's not, okay? They're close, but it's not. So just take this with a grain of salt when I say the inside of this thing, it feels cheap. I'm sorry, Max. I'm sorry, you diehard American guys out there, but if you compare this to a Range Rover or anything of that sort, the leather quality is not quite there. There's a lot of plastic going on in here. I hold cars to a European standard. The Range Rover's interior is a 10 out of 10. I would say this is like a 5. Surprisingly enough, if I get out of the interior for a second and I just look at it from the outside, I'm a huge fan. Not of the squeak though, I'm not a fan of the squeak. But I'm a huge fan of the way it looks. The facelifted version that came out recently has like slats under the grille like the Trackhawk does, and it just looks really, really aggressive. I will give the Jeep SRT that. It looks phenomenal. I don't know how much of this is coming through to the mic, but like, I'm just steady holding it in like 4th gear. I miss the V8. I'm realizing right now how much I miss having a V8 in my Raptor. All these manufacturers are moving towards downsizing their engines, and I can't, a part of me wants to think that they would keep this the same. The SRT's been around forever. It used to be the SRT 8 and then the SRT. And without the Viper, it seems like SRT is really focusing on the Challenger and the Charger. The Jeeps seem to be doing very well, so I can't imagine they'll change it too much. But part of me has to think that maybe next generation won't be the same 6.4. Maybe 2 or 3 generations from now we won't have a V8 at all. Maybe some kind of turboed V6. And from a car enthusiast perspective, that kind of sucks, because this thing's, don't get me wrong, it's a great vehicle, but for me, it's okay. It's what's under that hood that makes me really like this thing. Like, I wouldn't buy it if it didn't have this huge V8 in it. Also, not to mention the amount of mods you can do to this thing. It is a 6.4 liter naturally aspirated big block V8. If you just do a couple of bolt-ons, maybe headers all the way out, and a new cold air intake and a slight tune, you can probably gain a shitload of power. And if you really want to get crazy, throw a supercharger on top of it. And I'm sure conservatively, you could probably run close to 700 horsepower easy. When you factor in that these things used can be bought for like 50 grand, you pick up one of these for 50, put 10 grand into it, and you were driving a hell of an SUV for less than like a brand new Expedition or something like that. That's where this becomes an interesting kind of idea. I don't even know 0 to 60. I'm so ill prepared for this, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's a 4 something. It's definitely under 5. All right, guys, this is Max. If you didn't know Max, link in the description. He's a YouTuber. This is his cert. He's gonna show you guys how launch control works in these certs. Take it away.
Pretty simple. We just have a button. It's called launch. And what that does is when you select this, you have to have, it's going to put it into track mode. You have to have the steering wheel straight. And what launch control is actually going to do is going to set up the car for the fastest possible acceleration. So it's going to set up the, the engine, the transmission, the suspension is going to change. It's going to take off the traction control. And basically you're going to hold your foot all the way down on the brake, and you're going to hold the gas at the same time, and then you just let off the brake, and it just pew! 4.5 seconds is the top 0 to 60, so let's go ahead.
Harman Kardon speakers in here. I don't have my phone synced up, and Max has DC channel stuck in here still. What's a Houston channel? Like 94.5, I think, or something like that. It's so fucking rough. It sounds really good in here. I'll give it that. This is like normal radio. This is even satellite, so I'm impressed. I'm driving this thing like it's not a 5,200 pound SUV, which is a scary idea. Also, let me note that my Raptor, which is a giant off-road truck, given that it's meant to be an off-road truck, so the towing capacity is kind of fucked with, but 7,800 pound towing capacity. This thing, 7,200 pound towing capacity. Not that much different. You would think the big bad Raptor could like out-tow the shit out of this, and it honestly can't, which is really impressive for Jeep, or it's kind of a slight against my Raptor. I don't know which one. I honestly don't know much about towing capacities. I'm kind of in my head comparing this directly back to that Turbo S Macan I reviewed like 2 weeks ago. I know they're not really competitors, but they kind of are, because that car I believe was at like 80-something thousand. This car's at 70-something thousand. They're not that far off each other. That car's a hell of a lot smaller. This is way bigger, but that car drove a hell of a lot better, and this is a lot more clunky and beefy. All right, I'm back at the warehouse. I'm gonna give you guys like my closing thoughts. While I would not buy one of these, I'm gonna try to put this in the easiest terms I can. If you're in the market for one of these, it's all about the price point, right? So I've gone through the engine and how great that is. The transmission's not bad. The interior is meh. It is what it is. And as a package, this car, if I had to give it like a rating, I guess I'd say like a 6 out of 10. I know it's not high, but hear me out. When I compare it to an SVR or an X5M or an Audi RS or even the Lamborghini Urus or Bentayga or anything like that, those cars are quite a bit higher up in my ranking. I would say they're like a 6 or a 7 or an 8, depending on which one you choose there. There's a common theme here, and this is $50,000 to $70,000 less than everything I just mentioned. In the case of the Lambo and the Bentley, it's like $150,000 less. But let's just, for the sake of this argument, say the SVR Range Rover, which is pretty much a direct competitor, and the X5M and the Cayenne Turbo S. All of those cars are about $50,000 to $70,000 more than this thing. When I factor in that, I can't justify spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 more than this to get those. So if I bring the money factor and kind of try to even them all out based on price, this immediately becomes like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. For the money, this is phenomenal, and that's a common theme across American-made cars. The Corvette for the money is phenomenal. The Camaro or the Mustang for the money are amazing cars, and the Cert's no different. So for the price point, if I was in the market, I would take this over the competitors. Would you rather have this with $50,000 or $60,000 in your pocket, or would you rather have the Range Rover SVR? Actually, comment down below. Let me know on that one. I'm curious to see what you guys say. Having said that, I would say the SRT Jeep is probably one of my favorite sport SUVs. I still like the Macan Turbo better from last week, but if you want a bigger SUV from everything I've driven, I'd say it's actually a pretty kick-ass SUV. So congratulations, Maxx. You actually did a pretty good job. So every time in the future I talk shit about it, you can know that deep down I actually really do love I love the Jeep, and I'm excited to drive it in the future. It's in the garage now. I think Maxx is kind of getting comfortable with the Raptor. He hasn't killed anybody yet today. So that's going to be it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, smash that like button. If you loved it, hit the subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. I was thinking about maybe doing a Lamborghini Urus video next, and if I do that, that'll be 3 SUVs in a row. So why not make it 4 and do a 2017 G63? My 2019 G63 is coming in hopefully at the end of the month, and it'd probably be cool to compare the two back to back. So maybe I'm just an SUV review channel at this point. I don't know. I appreciate you guys watching. Also, I'm running a small sale on the remainder of the long sleeves. I have like 20 left, and once I clear those out, I'm reworking the way I'm doing Fuel Force. It'll make sense in the future, but just know down below there's a link, and there'll be like a slight like 10 to 15% sale on the rest of my inventory just to get rid of it. I'll catch you guys in the next one.
Hold the throttle, and then you just let go. Slingshot, engaged. Oh, see, you can't wait that long. Ooh, it's like that's like sometimes we get too excited, you know, like on Saturday night, and then you're like, hey, did you finish too? Okay.
What was that?
All right, Joe, is this safe, you would say?
No, not at all. Very cold. Honestly, really hope you guys like this video because this sucks. This sucks real bad. And Maxx is, get the fuck over here, come on. Maxx is taking a sweet ass time to come to me. What, is he doing another launch control run? What are you doing? Yeah, no, it's cool. It's only fucking 30 degrees and windy as shit. Like, I don't need to be picked up. I'm good. I'll just hang out.
I'm just gonna hit 60, and then once I hit that blue thing, I'm just gonna slam on the brakes.
Slam on the brakes what? Over?
Once I hit that blue marker, that's when I'm gonna slam on the brakes fully.
Slam on the brakes fully what, Maxx?
Fully over.
Ah, fully over. Okay, got it. This is going to be a little add-on to my video. Maxx is trying to prove to me that his Jeep can stop, and I think he's at like 100 feet or something. I don't believe it. So I'm walking out into the middle of a field so we can get an angle. What Maxx doesn't get, though, is that we have nothing for reference. So he's like, I'm going to slam on my brakes, hit the blue thing, and stop at 100 feet. But I don't know what 100 feet is. I don't have a fucking tape measure. Like, I don't... Maxx, the blue thing is still about 100 feet in front of you. I don't know how you fucked that up, but...
I messed up, dude. I messed up. Let me do it again.
Sick. That was totally 100 feet. I could tell.